All right, welcome to this introduction of SlideForge Studio, the script for After Effects that makes creating slideshows and montages super easy. All right, so over here in After Effects we have our SlideForge Studio panel, and over here we have our build settings. This is basically our pedigree settings for the project. So we have our comp size 1920 by 1080. We have a 5% border, which is the border that will go around our photos when we import them if we choose to use a frame. You could set this to whatever you want. I happen to like it at 5. You can put it at whatever size you want. Crop photo comps is a utility that will, when it imports your photos, it will create comps that are exactly the photo size, which makes animation a little bit easier and makes other calculations a little bit easier to perform. Lock background after build, that's another utility that can make working with animations easier. We can lock the background automatically so that it doesn't move. You can toggle that on or off later. Layer order is just the order that you want your layers to be in, whether you want them to go from top to bottom or bottom to top. Then we have our default layout, which is grid, scatter, or none. Grid will attempt to align your photos in a regular grid. Scatter will give them a more organic randomized layout, and none will just pull them in and stack them one on top of each other, and you can move them around as you see fit later. So I'm going to leave that at scatter. Gap in pixels is the minimum amount of distance it will attempt to maintain between photos when you import them and lay them out in a comp. So we're going to save and go to import and build, and you'll see that we have photos, frames, and backgrounds. We're going to check all of these. The menus underneath are what you want to import. You can either import a folder as well as any nested folders. You can import individual files. So I'm going to leave this to folder for photos, and I'm going to change it to files for frames and backgrounds. And now I'm going to hit import and build. It's going to open up my Explorer, and I'm going to go find my drive where I've got my demo project here. And I'm going to come into my still images, and here's the folder of images that our client has given us. I'm going to click that, and it's going to import all of the images into a folder. There it goes. And now it's going to ask us to import our frame images. So we're going to go back to our demo folder, and here we've got some different images. So I'm going to go into these comics, and let's see some of these. Yeah, these look good, so I'm going to take 1, 2, 3. That one's good. We have a blue already, have a green. Cool, these look good. I'm going to import those, and now it's going to ask us for backgrounds. And I have these wall textures that'll be good for this, and I'll take 5 of them. Cool. So now that we've done that, SlideForge is going to go through, and you'll see that it said it built 91 slides. So what it did was it took the 91 images that it found in the folder, and it first pre-composed the images by themselves, and you'll see those in this hold on, let me clear that. In this replace photo comps. So what this is just the image files that we imported pre-composed. It does the same for the frames, and it does the same for the background images. And then what it does is it comps them all together and puts them on your timeline in the form of a slide. So here's all of our slides, and if we open one of these, you'll see that we have a pre-composed photo comp on top of a background comp. Now if we open up this photo comp, you'll see that we have our frame image behind our photo image. And the difference between this is that 5% border that we set at the beginning. So now we have a timeline full of pre-composed images with borders around them on top of backgrounds. And you'll notice that we only imported a handful of frames and a handful of backgrounds. And what SlideForge did is it randomly assigned different frames and backgrounds to the different slides so that we have variety and we don't need to have the same amount of frames and backgrounds as we do images. SlideForge will take care of making sure that all of these are taken care of. So that's pretty cool. These are sequenced in order. They're about 5 seconds each, and we've got 91 comps laid out on a timeline. So that's saved us some time so far, but this is going to be a slideshow after all, and what's a slideshow without music? So let's drag a music track into our comp, and this is something that I put markers on already, and so this has markers. It's a 2-minute track. You can see that as is, our slideshow is over 7 minutes long. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come up here and we are going to do redesign slideshow. And this is really the workhorse of SlideForge. This is where we can really quickly and powerfully design our entire slideshow. So I'm going to come down here, and because we have an audio layer with markers, and the markers is what's important, not the fact that it's audio. We have a layer with markers assigned to it. We can click this auto calculate, use all photos, and that is going to figure out how many slides to create to make sure that we have a slide at every marker. Now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to change this random between. I'm going to set it to 1, and I'm going to leave this at 5, and I'm going to turn my variation up to 100. And what this means is that auto calculate is going to look at this random between, and it's going to figure out how to use every image that we have on a number of slides that equals how many markers we have, and each slide will have somewhere between 1 and 5 photos on each one. We're going to check align to markers, and we are going to do use selected layers markers. Now you have to have the layer with the markers selected to do this. I'm going to leave this all at default, and I'm going to hit apply changes, and you'll see that it took our original 91 photos, or our 91 photos on 91 slides, because it did 1 photo per slide, and it's now arranged them into 52 slides because there are 52 markers here. And if I go here, you will see that we've got our slides 1 per marker, and the layout and the arrangement is varied from one marker to the next. And so that is the initial setup. Now we can go in here and we can do things like rearrange these. We can change the we can change the layout, we can change the sizing, we can add animation, we can do just about anything we want to do to these, but we've just saved ourselves a ridiculous amount of time. In keeping with the simulation that this is a client project, let's say that we've gone ahead and we've gone through this, and at this point we know that we've used all of the images that our client has given us, and we've used the music that they've given us, and we've taken the direction that they've given us of using these colorful frames and this concrete kind of backdrop. And before we go any further with animation, we want to make sure that they feel good about the direction and that they don't want us to make any changes before we go and spend a whole bunch of time animating. So why don't we send this off to our client and let them take a look at it and give us whatever feedback they may have, and then we'll take it from there. All right, so we've heard from our client, and they love the directions so far, but they realized that they forgot to give us some images that they want included. So we're going to have to add some images to these slides. So we can go in here and we can click on one of our slides and say add photos to selected slide, and we can go to our folder where we have our images, and we can pick one of these images, and there you go. You can see that it automatically added the image to our slide. It framed it, it put it on the border, and it even laid it out for us right here. So we don't have to do all of that by hand. Now we can just go in and tweak and refine and keep going. So our client's given us some others, so let's go ahead and add the rest of these in here. And we can just go through here and scale and move these around, and that works just really well. So we can go in obviously and manually move these around, but there's another way that we can arrange them, and that is this Arrange Layout Scatter Grid button. If we click this, it's going to open this up, and it's going to have a drop-down menu that says all slide comps, which is everything in our timeline, selected slide layer in timeline, active selected comp, photo layers, which is if we're inside one of these comps, or the active comps selected photo layers, which means we can go into a comp and select a couple of the photo layers and just scatter those. I'm going to leave this in selected slide layers in timeline because that's where I am here, and I just want to take this and I want to scatter it. So I'm going to leave these all at default, and I'm going to hit Apply Layout. And that didn't do too much. So let's go ahead and let's change the spacing factor. The lower this number is, the more spaced out they're going to be. So I'm going to come down here and hit 2 and Apply Layout, and you're going to see that it spaced these out a little bit more. So I can come in here and do this again and do Apply Layout. And if I don't get what I want in the first couple of tries, I can always come back in here and manually move these guys around and do like that. All right, so now let's send this back to our client and let's see what they have to say. All right, so we've heard back from our client, and they're very thankful that we added those images in, but they've said that they want to make this feel more colorful. So they want to see if what we can do as far as changing the background and changing these frames and kind of making it look more colorful. Well, we could go through this one at a time and swap out all of these backgrounds, or we could just come up here and do Replace Media and say Entire Project, all slide and photo comps. We're going to uncheck photos because we don't want to replace our photos. And we do want to replace our frames and our backgrounds. And we're going to do multi-select for these again, just like we did before. And we're going to do Choose Files and Replace. So first it's going to ask us for our frame images that we want to use. So I'm going to change this up and go with a more neutral frame image and make the backgrounds much more colorful. So I'm going to go here and take our comic backgrounds, and let's take this one, this one, this one, this one. Yeah, looks pretty good. Let's take all of these. Sure, why not? Take all of these, and Replace and Scope is complete, and there you have it. We have all of our backgrounds and slides replaced. And there we go. And now let's send it back to our client and see what they think. Okay, so we've heard back from our client, and they definitely like this. They feel like it's more colorful. It's more like what they wanted. But guess what? They are changing the music. And if you've ever had to change the music to a slideshow that you've edited to the beat, you know that this can be quite a major re-edit. But not when you're using SlideForge, because all you have to do is do rearrange slides to markers, use selected layers markers, hit arrange, and your slides have just been resynced to the new music, just like that. That's it. That's all you have to do. And SlideForge will save you hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of time. Hope this helps. Hope this saves you loads and loads of time, and hopefully it will make your next set of client notes a breeze. Bye.